This is a bonus episode of History as It Happens. It's July 28th, 2026. The U.S. war on Iran enters its sixth month, and there is no end in sight still. Although it is obvious to all, it has been obvious for some time, there's no military solution to the problem of the Strait of Hormuz. A war that began when Donald Trump bought into magical thinking that bombing Iran would bring down its government and end the country's nuclear ambitions has become a war over the Strait of Hormuz. But if you listen to the president's comments on Fox and Friends this morning, you wouldn't know that he's created a disaster from which he's incapable of extracting himself.
Pounded the hell out of them. They have no Navy, they have no Air Force. Their army's been really badly mortified. So many others, you look at their defense, their air defense, it's gone. All of their radar is gone. Most of their weaponry is gone. Most of their manufacturing is gone. And you look, but I have some Republicans said, well, why don't we hit them harder? If they don't make a deal, then I go back and I finish the job.
According to the New York Times, the Iranians are not interested in talking right now, at least not the hardliners in the IRGC, who are at odds with more conciliatory factions in Iran's government. Reports the Times, the rhetoric coming from Iran indicates its leaders are comfortable with a state of limbo with the United States, something between peace and full-fledged war, believing they can handle renewed conflict and that they have leverage over President Trump. The priority for Iran seems to be gaining recognition of its control over the strategic strait, a concession that the United States has been unwilling to make. So, where is this all going? Well, it looks like it's heading for the abyss. The cost of the war is soaring, munitions are depleted, and all that bluster about defeating Iran was just that. Here is Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth being questioned by Senator John Ossoff at a recent hearing.
On day 14 of this conflict, Mr. Secretary, day 14, nearly 5 months ago, you stated that Iran's military had been, quote, destroyed and, quote, made combat ineffective. That was on day 14 of the war. Was that an accurate statement?
They didn't have a Navy any longer. It was completely sunk. Their missiles were buried underneath a lot of their underground facilities, and their defense industrial base has been almost completely destroyed. So as far as a military assessment of Iran's capabilities, it didn't mean by any stretch of the imagination absolute zero, but their capabilities at the lowest level
you
they've been in a very long
stated that
time.
on day 14 of this conflict, in the second week of the conflict, you stated that Iran's military had been, quote, destroyed and, quote, made combat ineffective.
Trita Parsi is co-founder and executive vice president of the Quincy Institute for Responsible Statecraft. He's an expert on US-Iranian relations, Iranian foreign policy, and the geopolitics of the Middle East. Trita Parsi, welcome back.
Thanks so much for having me again.
My view on this is it's over. Everyone knows it's over. And what I mean by that is the magical thinking goals of the early days of the war, early hours of the war, regime change, popular uprising, maybe an invasion by the Kurds, some kind of secular leader put in place after the Ayatollah was assassinated, physically destroying Iran's nuclear facilities, whatever. None of that is going to happen. And now it's the war for the Strait of Hormuz. What actually is going on right now?
You're quite right that this war has now increasingly become about the Strait of Hormuz. I do suspect that even though there is right now not an end to the fighting, but some sort of a informal pause, because the U.S. has stopped shooting and the Iranians only shoot in retaliation for whatever the U.S. does. They don't want to themselves be seen as taking the lead on this, but rather only responding to the U.S. But I think there's a significant change that has now also occurred, which is there's not likely to be any return to any form of a ceasefire without a final deal on the strait. Meaning, under the MOU, there was a return to an open strait for a period of 60 days, during which a final deal to the strait would have been reached. But of course, we never got there because Trump restarted the war a couple of weeks into the MOU.
Both sides interpreted the language differently there, but go ahead.
They did, exactly. But this time around, I suspect there will not be any such interim period for there to be negotiations. Rather, the U.S. has stopped shooting, the Iranians are not shooting back, but the strait is closed. And the negotiations will take place while the strait is closed and will only reopen once there is a final deal that the U.S. also accepts, which I think is a sign of the Iranians hardening their position, but also their reduced confidence and trust in the US.
Who is making decisions in Iran?
It appears that it is the IRGC. Whether the supreme leader actually is alive or not, we have not seen him. The Iranians, of course, insist that he is, but the fact that he didn't show up.
Tap subscribe now in the show notes or go to historyasithappens.com to listen to this entire 16-minute episode. For $5 a month, you'll enjoy ad-free listening, all of our bonus content, and early access to every episode of History as It Happens.